welcome to Games and Gimmicks, the podcast discussing video games, professional wrestling, and everything in between. I'm the Poor Ass Gamer alongside E. Huffy.
Greetings and salutations.
And thank you for that, good sir.
Yes.
We're here today. We're going to talk about a few different topics, but to start off, I'm going to crack my beer.
You crack your beer. I've got my glass classy wine, a glass of Pinot Grigio.
No cognac today for you.
Or as my grandpa fondly calls it, Penis Grigorgio.
Pinot
and he
Grigio.
does say that in public. Peanut Gringo is another way I say it too. That's always fun.
Gringo,
Peanut
yeah.
Gringo. Yeah. I didn't say that when I was down in Mexico at the All-Inclusive, though. I did not think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, it's all inclusive.
That is. It's all-inclusive. Do you want to go to Sandals? It's all-inclusive. No, Michael.
Please, if you don't know our office jokes, then I'm sorry, you can't be following our podcast.
Do you know what's a crazy thing, not to date us here at all, but, I'm coming across people at work that are finding The Office for the first time.
Yeah, crazy.
But not because they were too young
To
when it was on
experience
TV.
Mm-hmm.
That blows my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
It's one of those things that,
It was college years for us, and then for everybody else, they're like just now coming across this show, and they're like, "Have you ever heard of The Office?" And we're like, "Honey, we lived it."
It's surprising how, younger people are now like starting to realize, I don't know. There's a whole lot of commentary in that show in general. A lot of great things. We'll be talking about that in the future.
We might, but that's not what we're talking about today.
No, we're going to be talking about Whatcha, Playin, Man, our classic edition of our video game talk and all the things that we're currently playing.
Yeah.
But first off, we want to talk about a news article, or at least a story about EA and their recent troubles, or just continuing troubles with the Star Wars license. So, Eric, what happened here as of late?
Well, just kind of set the stage. If any of you happen to be new listeners, you might be asking yourself, why the hell would they talk about this when this was like 2 weeks ago that this announcement was made?
Yeah.
We're the kind of people that like to let a story come out.
It was about a week.
Yeah.
Or so. Yeah.
Let it stew for a while. Let everybody else get their thoughts and opinions out there. And then we sweep in and we're like, hey, we got our thoughts too. When nobody's talking about it.
We catch all of those opinions from other people, and then we regurgitate them. We swallow them, and we poop them out for you, the public.
Right.
Yes.
And ours are better
So eat
because everybody else sucks. So eat our shit.
Yes, that's what we're going for.
That's what we're going for. So
EA and Visceral was the main story, right? That basically this we had earlier last year, right? That they canceled a game.
It was a single player game.
Single
player Star Wars game, which we haven't had since, correct me if I'm wrong, The Force Unleashed.
Yeah, the
for the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, was that the one with the super Jedi that was stronger than Darth Vader and all that stuff? Yeah,
the guy that played Davis Bloom in Smallville.
Yes.
And all that. So he does a Darth Maul's voice in
that's
the Clone Wars.
The last single player game I remember.
Yeah. Okay. So they were working on a new single player game. They closed that studio, and it then got shifted to another.
I think it was Visceral.
And then we just heard last week that they shut that studio down and have effectively canceled any and all plans for the single player Star Wars game so that they can fast track and release some other Star Wars game.
Some game. I would imagine, just based on their past history with these types of games, it would have to be something multiplayer and something still like circling that wagon of what Battlefront 2 was attempting and failed horribly at trying to do. But yeah, it kind of goes back to the Star Wars license by itself. And I got to think people have to start wondering whether or not these things are really commercially viable. Because how many of those games, if you really think about Star Wars games over the years and N64 and Super Nintendo and are any of those games good? Do you remember any of those being I remember a few, of course, that I would still, upon retrospect, say they're good.
I will say the ones that are regarded more fondly are mostly PC related. Knights of the Old Republic, the Jedi Knight
Academy,
games, Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast. I love those games. Those are great games. But then when it comes to consoles,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I love Shadows of the Empire. Well, Rogue Squadron. The Rogue Squadron games were always rock solid.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
those came out with the GameCube too.
Sure.
But, I mean, really, PC was usually the Star Wars bread and butter.
Yeah.
But with the consoles, it kind of at times got really saturated. Like, there were so many Star Wars games out there.
Maybe even putting it this way, EA or even just like LucasArts in general and as far as the Star Wars license, it's always felt like the games were sold to us based on some sort of gameplay mechanic or change in terms of how games are made. Like, remember how the Force Unleashed, all that stuff was all about like the Euphoria engine and throwing people around and all that stuff, and everybody started using that afterwards.
Right.
Like Rockstar started using it, and it's always like those games have always circled around more the tech side of things, and then the Star Wars license kind of onto them, and then the games were never really like fantastic. Like I even played Shadow of, what is it?
The Empire?
Is it Shadow? Excuse me. The N64 game?
Yeah.
It kind of holds up a little bit, but not really. There are some frustrating parts in that game for sure.
Do not play it in third person.
Yeah,
you gotta
so
play it in first person.
I think like this goes to just a larger topic of like, what gamers do want. What do we want out of certain licenses like this? But I think like a larger problem is that, and it's not been said here before. It's been said everywhere else, but Star Wars has a lot of trouble right now with being relevant enough or like different enough than what it's already been doing for the longest time. Yeah. As much as we want change and we keep asking for that, we never really seemingly tend to get that. So I think that funnels over into all the video games too as well. It's like they have all these grandiose ideas and all these big things about connected universe and all these different you're gonna meet that fucking guy and Phantom of the Menace, Greedo, what is his name? God, oh my God,
no idea.
The guy who's selling the Sebulba. God, Sebulba. Greedo's a different guy. See, that's how bad I am with all this stuff. But like that's the problem. I think ultimately is that like there's all these big ideas for things that they want Star Wars to be, and then it doesn't work out, or it's not viable to a big company like EA that just like shit a brick on the last game that they put out. So
by God, you know what? They did it because come hell or high water, they're going to make loot boxes work. And they're going to make everybody love them.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do.
That's the troubling part.
I'm going to tell you right now, EA, you've absolutely lost a customer.
They lost credibility.
Oh, yeah. But I'll tell you right now, you could announce Battlefront 3's coming out, no loot boxes, and it could be reviewed as the greatest video game on planet Earth. I ain't buying it.
Yeah, you're done with it.
Twice this franchise is just really, they shit on you. It's awful. And it's too bad too. I mean, the game, I know they've updated stuff and they've given content and it's free, but it's just not a fun game. Especially knowing that I have to, when I want to play a map, even when I do solo and I don't do it online. Haha, pun intended.
Yeah, right.
It takes my God, 5 minutes to load.
I gotta wonder how many people are actually like concurrently playing that game right now too, as well.
I know,
like that could be relating to why you're having connectivity issues with it, but like
they probably are. I mean,
a lot of people probably don't.
That's the other thing that they know too. No matter what they make, you put the Star Wars label on it, they're gonna make money.
And that's the thing. They did make money, so like they're still keeping some projects, I guess, as far as what we understand about this. But it just keeps coming back to like these weird moments where we have to keep wondering, like, well, what's going on at EA? Right. Because like they're talking big things about the future and things, but like when it comes to their properties, they just release sports games and then occasionally do stuff like this or like big licenses and kind of handle things, but none of the games that they've made have been super breakout hits, I guess, as far as that. Like, I wouldn't call any of those Battlefield games or Battlefront games, excuse me, anything different than what other multiplayer shooter games are offering. They just put, a good studio behind it and a good license. So, but yeah, I don't think that's enough, unfortunately.
Yeah, they got to get away from that focus on multiplayer. I know with the whole, Fortnite thing and all that. Like multiplayer is the craze. It's like, but there is a huge segment of the gaming community that Red Dead is proof that people
a lot of stuff this year was proof of that.
And that game made its money before they put Red Dead Online out. So the market's there for single player adventures in the Star Wars universe. They should do it.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on from this topic, I guess, at this point.
That's depressing.
We hope things will recover there and things will work out for something good in the Star Wars universe. But, everybody's taking a long-hearted look at that license in general, including the people who are making the movies. So got to think the game designers are doing the same thing, too, as well.
Right.
So moving on, we're going to talk about the games that we've been playing more recently. Eric, you can kick it off here, too. What's the game that you've been playing?
Oh, boy. Quite a few. Aside from doing the obvious Red Dead cleanup, I'm trying to go through and catch up on some of those stranger missions and things that I've been doing. But obviously, we talked about that at length.
Hour and 42 minutes. You can check that out on the website. Lots of stuff there.
Yes, in the archives. I have been knee-deep in Fire Emblem Awakening for the 3DS.
Okay.
So this was a game that came out in 2013, I think. So again, I'm always late to the party on some stuff that's pretty good.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I was in the market for, I had beaten, what did I beat on the 3DS? It was Zelda, Link Between Worlds.
Link Between Worlds,
I had beaten that, and I was in the market for a new game, but I wanted to venture into the RPG zone because I had so much fun with South Park, with both of those games, that I said, I want to jump into that world, because I know there's some great games that I haven't played.
Are you pretty inexperienced with most, like, RPGs, JRPGs?
So, the South Park were the first two RPG games I'd ever played my entire life.
Okay, maybe I can give you a couple recommendations in the future.
So, shout out to coworker Jerica. She said, you should check out the Fire Emblem series for the 3DS. And I did a little Google search, and I'm like, yeah, there's so many. What do I play?
Yeah, there is a lot.
She had pointed out Awakening. Supposedly, that's like the top of everybody's list is this Awakening. So, it's a JRPG. I play with the Japanese audio, naturally.
Cool.
Get me immersed in that world. Holy cow, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It is a fun game. It's not very complicated. I felt, especially being such a uber novice at RPGs, it didn't feel out of my league.
Right.
There are some little aspects of RPGs that I don't get, and they are smart games, so sometimes I feel super dumb. But the strategy is balanced enough that I can deal with it. I make mistakes, I learn from them, and I try different things and whatnot. It's an awesome story, beautiful graphics. The soundtrack is incredible. It is so much fun, and it was still used. It was $32.
Is this? Oh, so is Fire Emblem? Is Fire Emblem anime? Would you say?
Yeah.
Like in terms of its art style, how it kind of looks.
Yes.
Okay, so they're all right. Yeah. And
they don't have feet, and there's a reason for it, because I thought my game was broken. I was like, none of the characters have feet. And it was some decision they had to make because it's so graphic intensive. Yeah. For the 3DS, they had to make some adjustments, and they chose to go no feet. Is
it kind of like, is it a game where you encounter an enemy and then you go to a fight screen kind of thing? Or?
What it is, it's actually, it took me by surprise, because I thought I was going to come into it like a South Park. You were going to run across somebody in the world and then a fight would ensue.
Right.
What happens is you get the story, slide and video, dialogue going back and forth, and then you're taken to a battlefield.
Okay.
And you have your army of people spread on the map, and then the bad guys spread on the map. You have to strategically move its pieces, almost like chess in a way.
Okay.
So then when you come up next to a person, you can then choose, to fight, to wait, and things like that. You can partner people up. So when the action actually occurs, it's done automatically.
Yeah, you're kind of sitting back and watching it
unfold, because you've selected what items they have and what you want to use in that fight, and then you just watch. It's like a little movie. So that took me by surprise. Yeah. But I really enjoy it. It's different.
I like that the 3DS is good for that type of like tactic type sort of games. There's a lot of examples of that out there, but yeah, oddly enough, I've been getting back into my 3DS. That is the least of all consoles I use. Good Lord, I own pretty much a lot of them. But even the retro ones and that 3DS, I want it. It's like the redheaded stepchild. Like I didn't necessarily want it, but I want it, and I'm like, all right, cool. But I've been playing a Zelda. It might be Phantom Hourglass. I can't remember exactly if it's that one or not too, but it's all stylus driven.
Oh yeah.
And it's both good and bad. But I realized like something I was doing wrong in the game, or I got to a point where I got to an island. I did not know what I was supposed to do. And then I found out that basically I was supposed to walk around the perimeter of the island, draw the actual map of the island, and then it revealed that it was in the shape of like a whale, and it helped me solve a riddle that I was having trouble with trying to figure out. So like 3DS, I'm always constantly surprised how that console or that mobile device still kicks on. There's just so many games that you could possibly play, not to mention all the back catalog stuff that's out there too.
And that's what I think is great.
Crazy.
But at the same time, I'm like, shit, I'm really late to the party.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me a little depressed. I'm like, oh, I'm so...
They're not going to get rid of it for a few years
and
still.
they just released like a new... Well, I picked up to kind of... I haven't played it yet, but to kind of... I know once I beat Fire Emblem, I kind of want to keep an RPG game in my repertoire.
Sure.
So I grabbed Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
I've heard those are good too.
That was like the remake of a Game Boy Advance game. And because I heard nothing but good things about that, and that's a little more in terms of the South Park style, where you come across an enemy on a map.
It's like a paper Mario,
kind of like that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the catalog is extensive. It's fantastic. So I'm keep kicking out the games. I like it. It's perfect for kids. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
So that's my first nominee that I've been keeping busy on. But I recommend it. Fire Emblem Awakening is the one if you've never played that series. I asked if it was going to throw me off in the story. I have no idea what's going on with all the other ones. Don't really care. And one of the characters is in Smash, Crom.
Oh, okay,
That's
cool.
the guy that last time we played that, I was playing as him. Like, oh, yeah, this is the guy from Fire Emblem.
So at least it's recognizable, too, as you get started with it. Right. So, yeah, even like other series that are out there, you can be, picking up some information from it.
Yep.
Excuse me. The game I've been playing recently, or at least played recently, was... something very cool. Epic Games released a game store. It's kind of like piggybacking off of them, trying to get more into the PC, maybe Mac. I don't know exactly their compatibility, but like just trying to get their stuff out to more people. And they're not going the route of like Steam and GOG, whatever, all the other stuff that's out there. Origins, EA's thing. So I picked up from Epic. They have been offering games for free. Last month, I got Subnautica, which is like a survival game in a like open world water world type game, I guess. And you just find a bunch of stuff and you build stuff and you try to unravel somewhat of the mystery that's in that game. It's not really that grandiose of a game, but it's fun to play. I picked that up. That was free, which was cool. Nice. And what I found out too is that like during these free weekends, you get it, and you get it permanently. It's not like you get it for like the time span that they show it for. You actually get that game permanently, which is really cool.
Wow. Nice.
So Epic's, opening the purse here and paying for a lot of these games out there because they want people to use their platform.
Right.
The game I played, besides that I actually finished, was a game called What Remains of Edith Finch. And I think you'd like it, but since you don't necessarily have access to it, you might be able to do it on your Mac. You could check that. But it was very much like Gone Home, very much that style.
Yep.
I would kick myself if I'm saying that was made by the same people, and it's not, but I'm not sure exactly. I can't really remember. But this is like the same sort of style, but like you're I would say like 30-something woman coming back to her family's house. And like the cool thing about this story is that like basically this family has always had like a really like had terrible luck. So like always somebody in the family is like dying in a mysterious manner, or it's usually people dying or having something horrible happen to them. But what's cool is you're this daughter of this family, like the last surviving member of the family, who comes back to the house where everybody used to live. And it's like this maze of like rooms that you can only access through like weird vents and stuff. And like you get to these rooms and then you get a story about that person who lived in that room. And it's like the weird bad luck that befell this family. So you're like playing those parts of each family member. Really, really cool. Great story. I think and you can play it in like 3-4 hours or something like that too. And it's a lot like Gone Home, and it's just like I'm loving that like we're getting into a generation of storytelling with video games where it's like it's not contingent upon them to tell us really super in-depth stories. It's just like here's a short story in video game form, basically.
Right.
As opposed to, hey, here's Red Dead. You need to spend the rest of your life playing this game.
Right.
So like. I like that. I like games like that. It's cool to see that Epic is offering this stuff for free. If you get a chance, I think it's still free for another few days. But yeah, What Remains of Edith Finch, really, really great arty game, but just fun to play.
And what's nice about those too is just like you said, you know that you can accomplish this in a short, reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
So we can get you that fix.
And it has this like sort of aura to it that like. You feel like something's going to jump out at you, but that's just like the nature of like what other video games have been teaching us over the years. And like this game is not that at all. It's just you experiencing a story and taking part in these stories. And I like that because it's like it sucks that sometimes I can't always enjoy games like this because I'm thinking like, oh, where's the zombie? He's going to jump out and rip my face off.
It's going to happen.
Or like PT. Do you remember I showed you PT? There was that game made by Hideo Kojima where you're walking down the hallway.
Oh, Jesus.
And that scary ass woman grabs you.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
shit like that. Like my brain has been wired to believe that's going to happen in every single video game, and it doesn't. Right. So this was really cool.
So you're just sitting on pins and needles for hours on end when nothing is going to happen at all. That's actually kind of funny.
There were some kind of suspenseful moments, but it wasn't really anything that felt like bad. But it had like a little bit of like that. The house was creepy, and you couldn't access every room, so you did have this feeling that think somebody was watching you. But it was cool. I really liked it. Yeah.
Right.
So what about you?
Next up on my list, I'm gonna have to go for Godzilla for the PlayStation 4.
I saw you
I'm gonna tell you right now. Just like when I posted a picture of that on Vero, come search me, Eric Huffy on Vero. I expanded Eric Huffy, easier to find. Just search Huffy. I'm one of one, so you'll find me. Just search Huffy. What happened was Face of Foley came by some random day and he had that in tow, and he said, "You got to take a look at this. You got to see this game." And I remember when that game came out, it got like 2 out of 10, piece of shit, horrible game, all of the above.
Yeah.
And naturally, whenever the games are horribly reviewed like that, they're usually the games that he and I love. Like a lot of my favorite games are terribly reviewed games.
Sure.
So I was like, pop it in. Let's check this out. It is one of the most incredible video games I've ever played in my entire life. If you're a Godzilla fan.
Okay.
If you've never experienced a Godzilla movie in any way, shape, or form, this is not the game for you. That's probably where the criticism should lie, is if you're a Godzilla fan, this game is perfect. This is a perfect representation of actually playing. The biggest criticism was it feels like you're just a slowly moving skyscraper.
It just looked a little slow from when I was looking at it.
Yes, because Godzilla is in a goddamn cruiserweight doing flips and shit. So
you're saying that he doesn't do Hurricane Ranas.
Right, exactly. Not doing drop kicks. Yeah. This game perfectly...
I'm sure I've seen a rubber-suited Godzilla do a drop kick at some point.
Yeah kid guy, maybe his son, kid Godzilla. Kid Godzilla, the son of Godzilla.
Oh, God, that was a creepy-looking Godzilla.
Yeah. So it's got the music from the movies. It has wonderful... what I love is when you're smashing buildings... it doesn't look real because they wanted it to look like the fake sets in the movie. So you get the sparks. Like, why does a skyscraper just shoot out white sparks?
Sure.
Because that's what they did in Japan.
Yeah, that is true.
So it's like you're playing one of the old movies.
Okay.
And it has a laundry list of, this is what's great about this game. No DLC that you got to pay for.
Okay.
You fucking have to play this game and earn the rewards of more kaiju.
Okay.
To fight as.
Cool.
You have to beat the story a certain way to be able to unlock the Godzilla from the newest movie that came out. So it gives you little goals to strive towards, to be rewarded and unlock shit. Isn't that a novel fucking idea?
Instead of tacking this on like months later for $60.
The one negative I will give it is it's another one of those games that says it provides co-op or co-play.
And it's not really.
It's network only. So you have to do it online, so you can't do co-op in the same room.
I don't get that shit. I don't get it. Like, it's like if you made it one way, which you would think is in a more difficult way because you have to connect two people from wherever the hell they are in the world, versus something like I just don't get that. Why But I mean, from what I saw, it looked like see, now that I get that perspective of what it was going after, as opposed to what people were expecting out of it, I think it'll probably be pretty good. Like, I'd have to try it out, really, to be honest, just to see if it was for me.
The giveaway is the back of the box. It says movie-like action and gameplay.
Okay.
That's if you're going into this randomly, you'll probably be disappointed.
Sure. Because you're expecting something that's more like Hollywood today, right?
It is. It is slow-moving, but it's entertaining. I'm having a good time with it. A lot of replay value, and you can beat the story in couple hours, and then you start it over again. Then you have different paths that you can take to do these things. So I've been having a hoot with it. The unfortunate thing is this game is no longer being published.
Oh, really?
It's not available on the PlayStation Store anymore. So Face of Foley told me, he said, he happened to just come across it, I think, at GameStop. And if you look on eBay and Amazon, this sucker's going for $90.
It's so the company that probably released it went under or something like that.
Must be. I don't know. Or it just did that bad. But I found it at our local disc traders. They happen to have it, but it was $32.
Not bad.
So I caught a good deal on it because I damn sure did not want to pay $80 for a video game.
And I guess they didn't know that either, too. Yeah.
Right. So it's disc-based, so I picked up another disc, but the box is really cool. I'm a Godzilla fan. I've always loved those movies. So to me, I think it's been an absolute blast. So if you can somehow come across it, give it a shot. I'm going to be trying to throw up some more gameplay stuff when I get into some more fights. Some kaiju, I'll throw up some good clips. There have been some pretty epic looking attacks and hits, and you can throw them into buildings and stuff, and it's pretty fun.
I saw him you threw him into a generator, and it was you and Space Godzilla. It looks accurate to what those characters were in those movies. So
the original Godzilla from the very first movie, so he's looking all crazy with the bug eyes,
and the rubbery look to him.
Stuff. And then they got all the way up to the newest iteration, and they all have different moves, different traits.
I remember this game being announced, and then it just sort of went under everybody's radar. I guess it was panned, and then everybody forgot about it. But when you're done playing that, or if I find it, I'll pick
absolutely
it up.
For sure, it's a hoot.
I guess the only last thing that I'd say that I've been playing, and this is more, I'll just say it as a short thing, because there's a larger thing on the website that you can read about it, and that was God of War. It was just, I finished that, and every critic said about that game was right. I was a little reticent going into it because I kind of thought, what the hell are you going to do with Kratos? I mean, like I have talked to you about before in the past, that story in that time period from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, it fit the narrative for those consoles, how games were made back then too. And those games were what they were, but they weren't anything spectacular in terms of I would say nuance is the biggest thing. Those you look at a God of War movie, it's it's like a Michael Bay film, you know, like it's like everything's bombastic right at you, and you just like instead replace like exploding cars with like, you know, like ripping and disemboweling things and demons and stuff, and the whole Greek mythology. And then you get this lovely thing with when I first saw the reboot of God of War, I was like, well, what the fuck are they doing to Kratos? Like he looks like him, but it's like, what are they? He's got an axe. Like, why the hell does he have an axe? Like, this just doesn't sit right with me. And I made a point about this in the article, which you can read, gamesandgimmicks.com. But like, my favorite part about this game, I think overall, was the fact that it made you think up until, I would say, like 60-70% through the game, that they were going to disavow all the information of everything prior to the previous games, like where Kratos had been, how did he even get to this universe. And you can see the video, which I cut that moment out specifically, and it's not meant to be spoilerific. The game's been out for God knows how long, so like I'm allowed to I'm allowed to show you a spoiler, because really I'm going to continue doing that when there's a game that's like really great and it's not spoiling anything, and it's like the greatest moments in these games. I'm going to cut those out, and I'm going to put those in a nice little video for these reviews that I do, because I want to be reminded of those moments when I think back at those games. And one of the key moments is when Kratos reveals to his son Atreus, hey, I'm a god. I've been lying to you this whole fucking time. And like, I also escaped a land where I fucking did so much bad stuff that I don't want to be reminded of that. And it's this nuance that comes from motion capture acting. Those previous God of War games are stiff and kind of sterile because they were just done with traditional animation and keyframing and all that stuff. And the voice actor for Kratos in God of War, the 2018, the kid, Atreus, all of Balrog, all the other like characters, Freya, that surround them, they all have just a realism that I fucking love about video games now. I just fucking love it now that we don't have to question whether or not we're gonna get really bad animation in certain games. And like, they took the right amount of time, Eric, to get to this point where now every fucking game has some facial capture stuff going on, and every game has way more emotional impact and just is better because we can see a character emoting. We can see a character having an emotion, crying, like sad. Even like fucking two characters kissing looks somewhat natural now, when that never looked right in the past. It was
always bizarre.
It's like two just broken pixels mashing into each other. Like, and now it's like we have nuance, and like games can tell us stories. I showed a clip of that to my mom, and she's like, these are like movies now. And I'm like, they are 100% movies.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like God of War, fantastic movie, or game, it's a movie.
But why do people bitch about 3.5 hour movies when we're playing games that are 24
That's
and a half?
a good point too.
Come on. Fuck off.
I will say there were a few roadblock moments that I had in the game where, again, like, you know, because I push through the games, I try to finish them as fast as I can in the time that I have. And I had a couple roadblock moments, but that's because I was not playing correctly. And then when I got past that and you get to the end, it's just they did it so right by the previous games, and also gave these characters real life.
Right.
Which it didn't have before, because all Kratos was like, fuck you, Ares, I'm going to rip your goddamn head off and shit down your throat. Like, you know, it's like he's fucking just outrageous, like murdering everything to get what he wants. And this is not that game. He's like trying to tell his kid, like, no, don't do this shit, because you'll, it's like, it's going to be problematic for you. So yes, God of War, it was a game of the year for a lot of big places out there, and all for the good reason. I feel bad that I paid $12 for it
Isn't
on
that
discount.
crazy? Especially when you play a really good game.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man, I didn't pay enough.
Yeah,
That's
like,
good.
yeah.
That's the mark of a really good game, when you actually say, I didn't pay enough.
Yep. And it's just like, again, I come back to the nuance. There's just so much in there, and it was really good. So But yeah, that would be. I don't know. Do you have any more games?
I do have one more.
You have
I have one more.
Cool.
One that I actually played through and beat.
Ooh, okay, cool.
The same day that Face of Foley brought over Godzilla to show me, he's like, "Hey, if you got just a little bit of time, I got this other game with me." And he goes, "I think you and we could probably get it done in like an hour or two. It's a really short. It's an indie game." And I said, "Oh, okay, sure. Okay, I got time. Let's go ahead and do this."
Cool.
It's a game called Little Nightmares. I don't know if you've heard about it. Okay, so he had it on disc, and it was Little Nightmares. So it is an indie like game. Sorry, don't know the company. I didn't do that much research because fuck it.
It's okay. You get the name.
Hey, look it up later. Do it yourself. The internet. So you're this little dude running through this place that we assume has like captured children, and then with an overarching story that has to do with gluttony and fat people.
Okay.
I think kind of bizarre, terrifying.
Okay.
Very scary imagery. He said, "I started playing this with my kids, but then I shortly then realized that they should not be playing this
It's too
game."
much. Yeah.
So what we thought was going to be this quick, 2-hour excursion for the game took about 6 hours
Really?
to complete.
Okay.
So by the time that it was 2 a.m. by the time it was all said and done. I don't remember the last time I saw that time on the clock, in my life. It's been a while.
Sure.
But we beat the thing, and it was a very cool experience. Scary, and I don't want to say scary like the PT game that you had mentioned, or what are the two?
Or Resident
Outlast.
Evils or Outlast. Okay,
Things like, it's not like that, but scary enough, like little flashes of a character and things that kind of make your heart jump for a hot second.
Yeah.
But really cool gameplay. It's a little bit of a puzzle type game, so you'll get into an area and you have to figure out things you have to move to progress to the next room, tricks for using sound to distract the bad guys from getting you.
Interesting.
Some are sensitive to sound, some are sensitive to sight. So many different ways for you to get past these different bad guys and things and use the environment.
What's the style? Is it like 2D, or is it like a 3D open world? Or
It's predominant. I guess I would put it as like 2.5D.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you can. It's mostly side scrolling, but you do have that.
But
depth
there's a depth of field
There's
to
a
it.
little bit of depth to it.
Okay.
Really neat looking graphics. The environments on full display is very cool, interactive, things like that. But it was interesting. I had never heard of it before. And he had the disc like special, Game of the Year edition or something. I said, I've never heard of this.
Huh.
I can't even remember what he said.
What was the name of it again?
Little Nightmares.
Little Nightmares. Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll check that
It'll
out.
take you about beginning to end. It'll take you about 6 hours, but it was fun. It was a good one. That's for sure.
Like I said before, I think like there's just something fun about having like these little experiences that we can have. Hopefully we'll be continuing to bring stuff like this to you guys there too as well.
Yeah.
Granted, we love talking about Red Dead Redemption for 2 hours. That's totally fine. We can
Sure
do
is.
that. We can do another 2 hours if it came down to it too. I'm sure there's
Sure
stuff that
is.
has happened since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do like that I want to get back to that person I was back in like middle school and high school to you guys, and being like, I played this thing that you guys haven't heard about, and you need to play this right now.
Yeah.
And like, of course, you guys will ignore me, but like at the very least, like I want to get back to that level of like, there's so much stuff out there every day, like really cool. Like even if you're just a Twitch subscriber and you have Amazon Prime, you get like a bunch of free games like every month, several of them most of the time too as well. Steam's always putting stuff out on the PC for free. We got PlayStation Plus, things for free there too as well.
Yeah.
Discounts like. There's never been like we talk about there's never been a better time to be a wrestling fan. There's never been a better time to be a gaming fan now.
Very true.
Just the ease of everything that you have access to is pretty amazing. But like we're gonna continue to try to bring games to this podcast that are things that just like what you described, something that maybe we haven't heard of before, or things that bring experiences that are really valuable to us because. I love playing games where I run around and shoot bad guys and stuff like that. But like, I also like things that try to teach me about perspective of other people and other, just other things that we could be talking about. So,
Correct.
As we go on, we're going to continue doing that. In the meantime, coming up on the podcast, we'll be sure to be having some more film and video stuff. Talking about different stuff on Netflix, Amazon, things that we've been probably wanting to talk about for years on this podcast. Even though we didn't know about it before, but
really gonna expand in the everything in between.
Yes.
Part of our title.
Yes, and I think ultimately, stay tuned because we're gonna have some of that stuff out here too. We're going to be continuing to do our video versions of the podcast, so look on YouTube for those. And, of course, for all of your stuff, go to gamesandgimmicks.com. Again, we're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Play. We're on Spotify. We're on Podomatic. We're on literally everything that you can imagine, folks. Social media.
Obnoxious.
Social media, every single one of them. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Oh, boy. Vero, everything. Yeah. Just go there.
MySpace.
That thing.
Probably not. Is that still around?
I got a live journal page. It's up. Games and Gimmicks, live journal.
Is that true? Is that real?
No. It's like one of the first blogging live journal.
Oh, I never had it.
MySpace too. We got Justin Timberlake. He's right next to us right now. JTT. What do you want to say? Yeah, that's really great.
Wow. There you
That's
have
like Michael Jackson. He copies Michael Jackson.
We will not bring impressions to this podcast.
Future podcast impressions.
That clearly did not work.
I'm going to try more. I'll get better.
Yeah.
I am Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Work on that. Work on that.
You got any for me, Eric?
No? I've got none. No.
See, wow, I think I've topped the worst ending we've ever had. To be completely
possible. I thought the one that I did the last time was pretty bad, but no, I think you took the cake on this one. I think it's just a race now. We're just who can top this? Shittiest ending ever. Who's gonna do it?
What was your sign off from last time? I can't. If you can't be good,
be careful.
Be careful. Hey, folks, gamesandgimmicks.com. If you can't be good, be careful.
That's